not to escalate many of these conflicts that we have. So this is one example of managing around the conflict. And of course, there's a lot of communication going on and regarding this matter. But the conflict is always there, but it's how do you manage around this.
Right, so come up with some strategies
Correct.
that can help you around the issue.
Exactly.
Rather than keep on knocking your head.
Yes.
All the time. So obviously, thinking through what you're going to be doing with your children, that's very important. And as you say, right at the start, even before we started this interview, was that you need to choose your battles.
Yes.
You don't need to fight everyone, right?
Exactly. And this is where it's so important that you create the right culture, which is to do with conflict prevention. You know, you must really create a culture of valued relationship that beyond the issues, relationship is more important. And sometimes I see parents, even including myself, you know, we fight over the issue again and again, and we aggravate it, we accentuate it, so much so that we cut off communication with the kid because they just get fed up with us, and we are always picking on them, you know, picking on every single thing that they do, and we don't realize that by doing that, we lose the child, we lose the relationship. So valuing the relationship is important, and also valuing learning. In other words, learn how to recover from the conflict and not to harbor it in your heart and not to allow the child to harbor it in the heart. And this is very important to take it as a learning. And learning means sometimes you have to apologize for what you've done wrong and helping them to make apology a way of life so that we all learn together, because sometimes parents make mistakes in how we manage. And I made a lot of mistakes as a parent, but it is learning through it and then helping, talking through with the kids on how to manage around these conflicts is important.
I mean, it's a learning curve for both parent and child.
Yes,
particularly if you are the parent of a teenager for the first time.
Yeah.
It's probably tougher, you know.
And let me just also normalize this for a lot of parents with teenagers. It is very normal to have conflict. In fact, I feel that if you don't have conflict, there's something wrong in the relationship. You need to welcome conflict in a way, in a sense that you must learn how to manage around this and learn about yourself, about the relationship as you grow. And even if you make mistakes, it is okay. Recover from it and see how well you can do it better next time.
Now, John, you're going to be speaking at the Singapore Parenting Congress at the end of August.
Yes.
And parent-teen conflict is the topic that you're going to be doing. And of course, it sounds like it's your specialty. You have 3 children of your own.
Yes.
So you've had your fair share of personal stories to share, I'm sure.
Yes.
Share with our listeners today what would be the basis or what would be your talk at the Parenting Congress.
Essentially, my talk will comprise of 3 main areas: how to prevent conflict and how to intervene when you have conflict, and then also how to recover from conflict. What I also want to discuss is to help parents not to escalate the conflict to such an extent that it becomes a pattern, and then you lose the child in the process. We also want to discuss a little bit about the function of the brain and emotions in conflict, which is very important, which I learned so much over the last few years, that sometimes, in fact all the time, the most difficult part of conflict management is our own emotions. So it's how do you manage our emotions and emotions of the child as you go through those difficult conflict situations. So I hope to give parents some very practical tips on how to do it, as it probably be like a confession session for me, you know, to see how I feel and how I recovered and learned. I am intending to bring my 14-year-old daughter along to share how she is also learning how to manage conflict between she and me.
I was just about to ask you, because from the child point of view, children too must learn how to manage their parents, right?
Sure. Yeah, in fact, that's a big subject that children really must learn how to understand their parents, the challenges they face. And this is one area that EMCC is looking at to try and help both parents and children to create a peacemaking culture in their homes.
Yeah, and I think that's something very important because, as you said, you mentioned emotions, and sometimes we do let our emotions get the better of us.
Yes.
Particularly when we feel that our teenagers are not listening to us. And so these are ways that things do escalate. And it could be something as simple as not straightening out your bedroom or something.
Correct.
And then one thing leads to another, and then to another, and it becomes just one ginormous thing, and you don't even know where you started from in the first place.
Exactly. And we lose focus because when our emotions run wild, we do what we call the fight and flight mode, and we just go at it, at all costs, at the cost of the valued relationship that we have with our teen. Unfortunately, for some people, it becomes a pattern. And then you lose your child in the process. They stop talking to you because every time they talk, we get into a fight.
Yes, as you said, you need to create a culture of valued relationships. The relationship between the parent and the child is a whole lot more important than whether or not the room is straightened out.
Exactly.
So we need to keep our focus.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And keep that in mind when we're dealing with our children, whether they're teenagers or not.
Yes.
And so we do look forward to hearing more from you, John.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much, Susan, for this time. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I hope that parents will benefit from this short session and maybe join us for the Parenting Congress and learn some valuable tips on how to be better parents.
And that was Dr. John Ng. He'll be a featured speaker at the Singapore Parenting Congress on the 16th of August, and he'll be talking about managing parent-teen conflict. John is the president of META and the honorary chairperson of Eagles Mediation and Counseling Center.